All right. Welcome, everybody. Looks like we have a big crowd today. Wow, we got people from Tel Aviv even on here. From DC, Cupertino, Penn State, Brooklyn's in the house, LA. Got people even from India and Georgia, Atlanta, Dallas, San Francisco. Woo, man, this is a big crowd. And we're excited to be a part of this. Well, we are about to go ahead and start. We've left the last chunk of our time for our panelists to answer a lot of Q&A questions, and we're going to use the Zoom chat to engage with us in other ways. I'd like to say hello and tell us about ourselves and how do we greet one another, and then to go on and kind of engage with our panelists. So with that said, I want to go ahead and ask that they bring up our panelists up to the front of the stage. We have three other individuals who will be joining me in discussion. And I'm going to introduce their name. The first name, I'm going to go ahead and allow them to introduce themselves. So when they have a chance, they can take themselves off of mute. I know we have one of our panelists who is taking this call on the job while she's out on the East Coast, talking to a lot of different students. She might want to kind of give a little bit of insight to that as well. But I'm gonna want to introduce myself once again for a lot of the people who are just joining us. I think when I first mentioned it, we were at 200, we're at 600 people. This is incredible. Again, feel free to go ahead and share out. We're gonna give a lot of good tips. A lot of these faces you've probably either seen at conferences, you've probably seen on television, you've probably seen on TikToks, you've probably seen on LinkedIn messages and videos. And so I'm just so blessed to be a part of this discussion, and to be a part of, this topic about talking about careers and opportunities. So with that said, we're going to go around the table. I'm going to let Sandra first go ahead and introduce herself. You can give all the information you want to, just don't give out your social security number.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra Abdul-Masih. I'm located in Toronto, Canada, which I saw so many Canadians in the chat. So excited. I actually recognize some of you. So like you're already excelling at this topic of joining this panel. But yeah, I'm the Senior University Relations Recruiter in Canada, and I'm so excited to get jumping into this convo.
All right. Next, we have up a good friend, Gabriella.
Hey everyone, sorry if there's background noise. I am on campus, so if you're at North Carolina A&T, please send me a message on LinkedIn and we can meet up. But hi everyone, my name is Gabby Woody. If you see me on LinkedIn, I do go by Gabrielle Woody. That's my full name, but I am on the university recruiting team and focus on talent attraction in our DEI recruiting efforts. And I'm remote and have been at Intuit a little over 7.5 years now. So very happy to be here and answer your questions.
All right, before we go to Patricia, Gabby, if they are on campus right now and they are looking for design opportunities or internships, where are they supposed to see you at campus right now?
Yes, currently in the Science and Technology building, and we are here all day. So we have some coffee chats later this afternoon if you want to speak to me, a design recruiter, or we have some designers with us as well. But yes, go Aggies, and feel free to message me if you are on campus and want to meet up.
See, I'm trying to give you the hookup. You see, I'm trying to give you the hookup. Get those talent right now, live. All right. And Toronto Vegas said that they're going to walk from San Diego right now. Last but not least, Patricia, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Patricia Uchi Chiemeka, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. Excited to be here and answer your questions. I currently support the recruitment efforts for our EABP community. So yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Just gotta say you look fabulous. All right.
Thank you.
Fabulous. I feel like underdressed here. I initially started out by letting everyone know who I am. My name is Charles Martin. I'm one of the University Recruiter partners here. I have recently been promoted. My team just said, go ahead and give me the title. But I did not want to, I don't like talking about titles or anything of that sort. So, so yes, I am an acquisition recruiter here in the university team in Mountain View, California. Hail from the hills of Mountain View, Northern California. So thank you for all the love. So before we start, I think it's always great to get a good understanding of who you're talking to and what kind of personalities that you're dealing with that could be possibly talking to maybe in the near future. And so I like to just kind of do a little bit of rapid fire questions to the team that they don't have any idea what question they're going to ask, but it gives you a good sense of their personalities. and the culture we kind of, you know, build here amongst one another. So that way you can kind of see that vibe and that feel. And so with that said, I'm just going to ask the entire group here, even people who are in the chat, and everybody here. Patricia, I already know how you feel about this question, so you don't have to. But anybody here have Beyonce tickets yet? Anyone get Beyonce tickets? Anybody?
I
No?
didn't even get, I'm waitlisted.
Ah,
Y'all, I didn't get in.
I got waitlisted too.
you know.
I was gonna come in Canada. I thought that was my way in.
Mm-mm.
Patricia, did you get your tickets?
No, and you know why.
Are you gonna buy tickets to Beyonce?
No.
Okay, you don't want to have no.
Patricia is not a Beehive member, y'all.
Not a Beehive member, but you know what? We love her. We love her. I'm not a huge Beehive fan either. So let's go ahead to the next question.
What?
You know, yeah. So let's move on to the next question before people start hating on me. So with that said, Patricia, let me ask this first question to you. If you had the opportunity to live for 1 year in any location you ever visited, where would you live?
It would have to be Dubai.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Oh.
That's on my bucket list.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Amazing.
All right. So this is for all of you and everybody. You can answer these questions in chat also. For all of you, when it comes to fast food chains, what is the best French fry? Who has the best French fries?
Okay, here's the thing. I'm in Canada and I know my Canadians can relate. So like we don't have that many options in comparison. Like all I can really say is McDonald's. That's the best French fry, I would think. Or like you guys don't have Harvey's, but we've got Harvey's up here. They make pretty good fries.
Okay. All right. Then I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm an In-N-Out fry kind of girl because I can see them freshly cutting the potatoes and
Oh,
putting
that's
it in the
true.
oil.
I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm a Popeyes person. I like Popeyes French fries. I'm sorry. I'm
I think
sorry. They're
McDonald's makes
legit.
a
Like, don't get me
French
wrong.
fry.
Like those like crisscross fries over at Chick-fil-A, they're good, you know, but
Yeah, but Popeye seasons their fries
oh,
though,
my
don't
God.
they?
Yes.
I think they do. Yeah, that's why.
So damn good.
For me, it would have to be McDonald's, hands down.
Yes. There's not something about those French fries, right? You just like it's almost like they put something in it, right? So all right. Really quick question for those who are in the chat. So Gabby, let them answer in the chat, but don't look at the chat. All right, here's a question for everybody. It's 7 o'clock on the dot. Where's Usher? Where is Usher?
Are we all answering that or just Gabby?
All right, I'll let everybody go ahead and answer now. What you know, I see some answers.
And the drop top cruises the street.
Okay, all right. Sandra, if you had to choose one person that you can only listen to, because we know you're in Canada, this is a
Ooh.
if you only could choose one person to listen to for the rest of your life, from Canada, would it be Drake or The Weeknd?
Okay. Oh, that's tough.
I know.
That's tough.
Don't worry. Neither of them are going to see this video, so it's okay.
The Weeknd out here getting a software role. I would probably say Drake. I don't know. There's more albums. There's a bit more variety. There's some mixtapes. Although House of Balloons fantastic, but I would say Drake.
All
I
right.
think the chat agrees. Someone said Shawn Mendes. Yeah.
All right. I only got 2 or 3 questions, and then the person who's monitoring this and telling me to hurry up, I'm going to be this really quick. So, Gabby, if you could choose one streaming service, and anybody here, if you could choose one streaming service, which streaming service would it be? Is it like Netflix, Amazon, HBO Max? Which one would it be?
Oh, that's hard.
Netflix, Spotify.
I'm saying an HBO Max right now because I have to watch Euphoria and White Lotus and Insecure. I will always keep streaming. So
Oh yeah, I love
HBO Max.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Patricia, if you won the Powerball tonight, and this is for everybody here, if you won the Powerball tonight, which is I think is, or the Powerball of Mega Millions is like a $700 million.
Wow.
Whoa.
How many years would you stay working?
Not even a question. I'm just giving my notice right away, actually.
She's just joking, people that into it. She's just joking. Whoever your boss is, she's just playing. We're gonna make sure she wraps up and give a 2-week notice. All right. And then last but not least, and everybody can kind of put this in, and I kind of feel like I know this answer from everybody, but which social app during the pandemic became a healthy addiction to you?
I don't know if it's healthy, but like
Mm.
everyone's on TikTok. Let's be
I
real.
I know.
know.
I was like, I don't know if that's healthy, but
I don't think it's
that definitely
healthy.
consumed all my time.
It just
And
makes
more
me
Coffee
feel
was
money.
better
healthy though.
it just makes me feel better. So saying that. So with that said, thank you for participating. Thank you for everybody participating on the on the chat. Again, we still have over 600 people, and I know that you all want to get into the really meat of this discussion and try to answer some questions. We have a lot of people here who are looking for new opportunities. What we found, we have a lot of people here who are in the entry level, a lot of people here who are early in their career or even looking for internships. And the great thing is like we got so many, we got 3 professionals who cover all those areas. And so we're going to try to answer a lot of your questions today. And then we have a team in the back who will be taking some notes. So they'll highlight at the very end some of our discussions. So for those who are not taking notes or who are working while they're listening, don't worry, at the very end, we'll make sure to share where we're going to post this at, as well as some of the notes that were given just in bullet point form. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start out. And Patricia, only because you're looking fabulous today, we're going to go ahead and start with you. All right. You should have been at the Grammys. All right. So,
Queen.
right. Thank you. Dang. All right. Patricia, I want to go ahead and start with you. I know that in the past, and I got my questions here, so forgive me. I will be looking down asking questions. So with that said, this is not a test, but it's just some, to have some support to those who might be looking for it. So, and feel free, to our other panelists, if you want to hop in, if you want to make a comment or so, feel free to go ahead and add your piece. And if not, we'll just go ahead and continue. So with that said, Patricia, I heard you talk about, in the past about being intentional in your career search. So if possible, could you kind of break that down? What do you mean about being intentional in your job search?
Certainly. So when I say be intentional, you want to write down your goals. So decide what it is that you're wanting to do and, just what you want, and then begin to make steps towards getting to that goal. So if you're currently employed, reach out to your manager, get to find out what you're doing well, what you could do better, and just begin to network with people, in the industry or companies that you would like to work with, Intuit. You want to next, but basically you just want to be intentional, map your goals and begin to work towards those goals.
Oh, that's very good. I mean, I think it's kind of like one of the terms that we use around here about being bold, right? And it's one of those things. It's just like getting your foot out there and just kind of taking some steps forward in those spaces that you're really looking to. So another question I have for you, if you don't mind asking another one.
Sure.
Now, I might show my age here, okay? I might be showing my age, but I've been around, back before there was LinkedIn and before there was all these different social media tips. And I know being, intentional in some spaces nowadays, you get to use all these different tools and technologies, but maybe what tips might you have for applying for roles?
Yeah, so in applying for roles, I highly recommend that once you've applied for a role, go on LinkedIn, network with recruiters in the companies that you've applied to, and then send them the requisition numbers and say, hey, I applied to this job online in your organization. Here's the requisition number. Could you please, connect me with the right recruiter for that role? So definitely, I highly recommend that, as opposed to just reaching out blindly and saying I applied to a position in your company. You want to always include the requisition number of the position that you've applied to.
Yeah, and you wouldn't just do that just blindly. I mean, I'm assuming you would have, like, I think you even mentioned earlier, you were saying something about research or doing your research.
Oh, yes, certainly. You have to do your research, learn about the company, network with people from that company, send invites and connect with them, and just begin to network.
No, that's good. I mean, I think research is the big part of it that everybody kind of misses out. I'm not sure if anybody else has anything to add to that about doing the whole research.
Yeah, even I know a lot of folks just send over like a LinkedIn message or try to get into your inbox and all that, but even engaging with like what recruiters are sharing on LinkedIn, I personally find that if I notice someone who's actively engaging with me, I'll usually remember their name and start to like follow up and stuff like that. So I find that's a good piece of research, is finding what tips your recruiters are sharing online and kind of reflecting on that in the comments as well.
And I will say that I am horrible with that, with not necessarily doing my research before and applying or, connecting with other people, but just staying active in different spaces that can help me lead and network to opportunities, whether that's, networking with somebody who can have discussions like this, or
Yeah.
connect with individuals to find me, other talent that might be wanting to connect to. So I got to be better at that. So it does take some effort. My grandfather said the two worst things in life is looking for a job and moving. And I think back, I was like, you know what, that is, because it's work, finding a
I
job, or
know.
finding opportunities or connecting with other opportunities, whether it's work or not, it's work, right? So and while we're on the whole LinkedIn thing, I have another person on here who's kind of an expert, because I see her profile is probably a perfect example of how to have a great LinkedIn profile. And I know she's not going to give a LinkedIn dissertation, because that's not really what this is all about. But I want to find out just from you. I know there's all kinds of different ways that people are highlighting themselves using different tools. One being ChatGPT and other spaces and AI tools. And we don't have to go really deep in that if you don't want to. But I was just kind of curious, what are some of the recommendations that you would offer somebody who is trying to make some of these ways that what Patricia said to use with their profile or create a LinkedIn presence to make some great networking connections? Gabby.
Is that for me? Okay.
Well, I just thought you knew you were the expert, so I want to make sure.
I feel like we're all experts here.
Well, they're all experts with
That's a really good question. And I think LinkedIn is a really good resource, one for you to expand your network, but also for you to find recruiters, hiring managers, and for them to find you. So really building out your profile and making sure you have a strong headline, a summary, really look at the job descriptions of the roles you're applying to and start embedding those skills into your profile. There's a ton of LinkedIn's in the chat right now. Start building your network that way. Share your work out. I always note of candidates who are sharing their work on LinkedIn, whether that's your side project, something you achieved at work, your portfolio. Put that in the news feed. Recruiters are noticing that, and they're if you keep posting, they're more mindful of you when they're doing their search. And get endorsements of skills. So whether that's your classmates, people you work with on a daily basis, have them endorse you and write recommendations and say, these are like the skills I would like you to talk about, or the experiences that I've showed in my expertise. Really use that featured section. So if you do have that portfolio or GitHub, link that at the top, any awards you've had, join LinkedIn groups. There's a lot going on. You all are already one step ahead joining these LinkedIn lives with the companies, and great job there. So there's a lot you can do with LinkedIn. Please leverage it. It's a really good tool for networking and job search.
That's so good. I like it. So another question to you is, like, do you have any suggestions for anyone still in school, or how to leverage any resources on their campus? Because I think, if I might state so, I know I don't look my age, but thank God all this melanin, but what I can say is I do have a student who is in college. My child is in college, and I always tell her about different spaces and making sure that she's connecting. Of course, as a parent, most children do not listen to their parents. They have to feel like it has to come from somebody else. So, I know I referenced my daughter to Gabby, who probably repeated some of the same things that went in one ear, one of the out. And so I just want to ask you, Gabby, if you can kind of share some of the examples that you share with my daughter and with other students, about connecting and finding opportunities and using their resources on campus.
Yes, there's a ton of resources that I didn't find about until I went into university recruiting, and wish I did this in my university years. The Career Service Center, they often advertise what companies are on campus. They help you with your resume. It's even on career service websites, they have templates for the resume and cover letter and how to go about that and highlight your skills. There's on-campus recruiting. So y'all know I'm on campus right now. There are students literally right in front of me who are in the room just to visit Intuit. Leverage those on-campus recruiting, whether that's you find out through student orgs or what the career services had listed. Show up to those events, introduce yourself to the employees that are showing up from the corporations, and then connect with them on LinkedIn. Also utilize your professors and advisors. We are partnering active with faculty, and they're always sending us, oh, you have to talk to the student for this internship that I saw you just posted. So leverage your faculty, student orgs, There's a ton of them. They help with development and what you're passionate about, but they also partner with companies. There's online job boards. So your university should have a job board for you to find roles and apply to, but there's also Handshake, Jumpstart, Ripple Match, LinkedIn. There's a ton of job boards posting internship and new grad roles. And yeah, professional conferences and workshops, just see what you identify with, what you hear around school, and you can really build your network and find roles that way.
I love that. And I also wanted to, share this, and Sandra, if you want to hop in there also, as well as you, Patricia. I was going to say that what I also find on campus and what people forget is that if you're an alumni of that university, you can still contact the Career Center. You can still go on the campus. They do have career fairs. Those are things that are open up to you because they're looking for early career doesn't mean that company does not have other opportunities and roles. And there's many times I've gone to career fairs and I met other people there that actually are filling roles that we might have that I'm just not, talking to about there. So you still have that access for those connections. And so, yeah, it's all good. So, but we're going to go up north a little bit. We're going to old Canada. All right. So for all the Canadians in the house, we have a person who's up there in Toronto in one of our offices, but I want to kind of switch things over just a little bit and, kind of connect with you, Sandra, about this one question. So I would say this is probably a great time to start networking within your organizations. I know a lot of people are being impacted or looking at other companies being impacted in different ways, whether they're growing, whether they're, minimizing or doing some different things. And so it's always a great way to connect, at any point in time when you're in your career. So I don't know, would you have any tips on basically how to network or even create, connections inside your current company?
Yeah. And I saw a lot of folks vote in that poll as well. They're looking to take on new projects or new challenges. A really great way to start networking within your own organization is actually aligning yourself to not only the company culture, but what type of employee resource groups they offer. So I'm pretty passionate about this. I find that it's a really great way to kind of go above and beyond your job description is usually aligning yourself to something that you're passionate about. Maybe something more identity-based where you're finding a resource group where you can kind of seek like-minded individuals who are also looking for like growth and success. There's really great opportunities to kind of take on extra project work. You can also align this onto your own goals. Like, hey, I assisted, the Pride Network and I helped assist Pride Month and I took on these projects and so on and so forth. Your managers and your organizations do see that as quality of work. And I think it's a great way to network and meet folks. And as you're going to like these events, whether it's internally or externally, and you're going on, let's say to a conference and stuff, like conversations naturally happen, like it's organic way of networking. So if you're going on behalf of a resource group, you meet a lot of folks. People can approach you in the office, ask you questions, and then you get into other things and all that stuff. So I just find it's a really great way to not only take on something new, but to meet new folks. And you'll get noticed and recognized for that. Like, I truly do believe that.
No, I do. I mean, I do that still to the day. I always try to go to events, even if they're not with, my identity. Like I don't just show it up to our African ancestry groups. I try to go to different network groups, and you don't know how many great people I've learned so many great things from, not just about maybe the group or what they're focused on, but also like certain skills and technologies. I'm not an Excel expert, but I've learned a lot of new tricks in different spaces. I've gotten really great templates when it comes to PowerPoint and little tips on how to manage your finances. Yeah. I mean, and those things have actually helped me grow and have my manager or some of my team members recognize like, wow, how'd you learn how to do that? And I try to take credit myself, but it's really great just to have those spaces. And then you never know. I mean, for us, it's always great because we get referrals, but sometimes you might have somebody who's looking for a role that we can refer somebody to. So it's always a great time to stay connected. And I know we live in a world where right now everything is just through your phone, everything's through your computer. People come home, go straight to the garage, shut the door. They don't really connect and make connections. But I guess this is where I am showing my age. I'm from the old school where I just like to engage with people and just kind of talk to individuals, and it's just some of those muscles that we have to really use and utilize and practice. So it might not come natural for everybody, but believe me, it does definitely go a very, very long way. So So I think, we want to go ahead and transition here just to a little bit here, just on some topics, some questions that we had submitted from everybody. We had tons of questions that were submitted to us, and we might open up the gate for some of the questions inside the chat. But with 500, close to 600 people here, it might be hard for us to filter as they're just coming in very, very fast. But we did get a lot of questions that were printed out or sent to me. And so we're going to see if we can kind of tackle some of these questions and go through them. All right. So, I want to let our panelists know you're not in the hot seat, right? I'm here. We're all here to support answering these questions. And I also want to keep in mind that we're giving our perspectives, but we'll try to share our perspective, but we're not going to say that this is the right way. This is the only way. And if it's not this way, it's not right. Every situation is going to be a little bit unique. Every location is going to be unique. You might have questions about opportunities in Canada that might necessarily be relative to the US, or you might have questions about roles that are in the US that are not going to be relative towards, India, and vice versa, sometimes in states and every different thing. So, so please just be patient and understand that our answers are based on our knowledge. I feel like I'm giving one of those prepaid commercials. Everything is sponsored here. But we will definitely try to go ahead and answer some of the questions. So I'm going to be all over the place, ladies. And by all means, feel free to jump in if you have an additional tip, or if it meets basically your state or your location or country. All right. So with that said, I'm going to start with you, Patricia. So one of the questions we had is, should you apply to for a job only if they meet all minimum required qualifications, or is meeting most of them enough? I think we all got some responses to that one, but.
Yeah, I would say meeting most of the requirements is sufficient for you to apply. However, what I will say is, don't just have one resume fits all positions. You want to tailor your resume for each position you apply to. It might seem like a lot of work, but certainly will get you through the door. So you want to look at each position you're applying to and make sure you can mimic your resume. So pick certain words, see what they're looking for, and align your resume, your responsibilities to what the job actually is requiring. And you certainly do not have to meet all the requirements, but I would say at least 80%.
Yeah, and usually while you're going through like an interview process, like folks will recognize that you're coachable. So if there is a gap, like, with the way that your soft skills present or anything like that, you're a coachable candidate.
Yeah, I'm going to even add a little bit more. I might take this to a little deeper level here. I got this person. I don't have the exact percentage, but a higher percentage. I found that women do not apply to roles solely because they see that there's one qualification they don't meet, so they don't apply. And more men will actually apply. I'm assuming you guys have heard this before, right?
Yes.
And sometimes
definitely.
you have to even look at the job description, because there might be requirements that say desired, or would like to have, or preferred, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have it all. And sometimes some managers are willing, depending on how long the search is going on, they're willing to take 80% of the skill set and bring somebody up the additional 20. So just kind of look at the roles, use some of the techniques they were saying, connect with people, get referrals, get networked with people on LinkedIn, find out a little bit about the group and the manager and the teams, and then go ahead and make your decision. But don't hinder yourself if you really like the opportunity, but you might lack some spaces. I would still apply, right? I mean, I wouldn't apply for a CEO role, but I mean, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be the CEO of this company. I know I'm a recruiter, but so Gabby, here's a question for you. How to best stand out to recruiters in the post-layoff tech industry? And there's no right specific answers to this, but how do you deal with even competitive markets with amongst layoffs? So I think we can all help out Gabby in this one, but do you have any advice to anybody who is looking to stand out in front of recruiters right now?
Yeah, I mean, really just keep networking and start taking info chats with people in the roles or companies you wish to seek, and make those connections into referrals. Might be a little long-term relationship and just building a friendship first and then getting that referral. But it's really important to make those connections. I know a lot of companies do have employee referral programs and consider these referrals highly. So that's one way. I know I mentioned posting your work on LinkedIn. That is really like a way to be seen and keep engaging through that way. There's also, if you were in a layoff, I know there's layoffs.fyi, and there's a lot of candidates who have opted in on those lists, and recruiters are going through those lists for their roles. If your company does have a list that you can input your name on, I would highly advise you to go on there. Recruiters are constantly going through those lists, and don't think twice about you being laid off. So they think you're just as qualified and don't think anything of that. So like put yourself on those lists, and recruiters will be looking through there.
Yeah. Anybody else have any additional tips on that?
Yeah, just to touch on like what Gabby said, like be your own brand ambassador, I would say, online, and share your work and, share your thoughts, how you're feeling, what you're seeking, or praising other folks or celebrating. Just be a really great brand ambassador, even if you're still currently employed on it. Like just work and show off that work. Like why not celebrate yourself? Like recruiters also notice candidates like that too.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough the importance of networking, especially people within the area that you want to work in. Just there's not too much networking. You can't do too much of networking. So network.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, and I wanted to just into what you said, Sandra, about being your brand, be your own brand ambassador. It does make me think of a line that Jay-Z used to say. The great philosopher Jay-Z would say, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman," and I think when you take that into account, it's like you really have to represent yourself. All the work you're doing, all the work that all the skills you've acquired, whether you're going to school, whether you got out of school, whether you have all these skills you've acquired over the years, even if you're 10 years in the industry, or hey, right now I'm doing a lot of work and I'm being unpaid for it, but it's still skilled work. That you are your own brand, and you have to bring what is your brand when you go to an organization, and how do you conform that into that space. So I just encourage you just to work on that, find your voice, create your profile, not just for LinkedIn or some social media site, but the profile of the technology and the skills and the background that you've acquired, and bring that to an organization, into a conversation. And believe me, it'll go a long way when you start thinking about that as yourself, as a brand. So thanks for sharing that, Sandra. So
yeah, and I would say too, like all the individuals here who are looking for co-ops and entry-level roles, like if you succeed in getting those roles, talk about it, like share photos of what's going on, like in office, like celebrate, like this is what happened this week. Because as recruiters, when you're looking for a new job, we go into your profiles and we see how much you cared about that company, and you bring a lot of like culture add back, right? So you're a relatively great hire if you talk about that stuff.
Yeah, which makes me feel really bad. I need to start, talking about my promotion.
Charles.
I was like, I don't want the attention, but now I'm like, dang, all right, okay, you got me cornered me, girl. I gotta.
We'll be waiting for that LinkedIn post, Charles.
Yeah, I better get it.
So let me move to the next question. Patricia, how do you get feedback on what was lacking and maybe failed interviews? This is one of the biggest pet peeves I always have, and I try my hardest to follow up with, with interns and with new college grads who are applying for roles, to actually call them up and say like, hey, this is where you did really great. This is where you failed. I like just being very, vocal and honest with them. But, how to get feedback, what is the best way for someone to kind of approach it, even if it's, not great?
So following an interview, how to get feedback if you're not accepted to go to the next round of the interview process, you want to connect directly with the recruiter who you've been speaking with on the position, and have her or him get specific.
Okay.
Have them get specific feedback from the hiring team on, why you were not a good fit for that particular role, and let them be specific. So ask for specific feedback, so that way they're not coming back with a generic, oh, we found a more suitable candidate, or you don't have enough experience in this area. Just let them be really specific on what they would like to see, what you didn't show, what they felt you were lacking in that interview. yeah, so that your recruiter will be the best person to connect with on that.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things, especially when for some recruiters, for those who are wondering like, well, I didn't hear anything back for a job, or I didn't hear any feedback from the interview. And sometimes it could be just a one-liner, or it could just be a, hey, you're just not possibly a fit. And it depends how engaging your recruiter is. This is where I go back to Patricia and the rest of the team and everyone on here that, our answers, it's going to vary depending on who you're working with. There are some
Right.
recruiters who are really passionate about what they're doing, and they want to make sure there's like a lot of contact. There's a lot of coaching through the process. And then there's some people, who, I'm sorry to say, it might just do it for a paycheck. I'm just saying that, every recruiter you're going to run into is going to be a little bit different in their approach. And especially if you're dealing with recruiters that are dealing on the university recruiting side, because it's high volume,
Yes.
they might have 12,000 applicants, maybe for like 400 roles. So it's very hard for them to apply. And for some of these larger corporations, just some of their similar roles, they might have thousands of applicants. So sometimes it's about being patient. But if you're persistent, they'll give you that feedback. So that way you can realize maybe it was just this one little piece
Right.
that you screwed up on, that you're like, oh my gosh, like I will never say that again in the interview. That way, maybe that's that turning point that you learn. So be persistent, I would say also, in asking. Let's go to Gabby, because I haven't asked you a long question, or a big question.
A long question?
I haven't asked you a really deep question. I was going to
making
ask
me nervous. Okay, what's up?
Do you watch Will Smith? No, I'm just joking. Is Will Smith still part of your entertainment categories? No. No, I was going to ask that, but I'll ask you that offline. How can a candidate who has been out of the workforce for a couple of years boost his or her chances of landing an opportunity? And I think we can all kind of chime in on this, because I think we've kind of hit on some of these topics. But do you have any additional tips for anybody who's been actually out of the workforce for a couple of years to boost their chances of landing an opportunity?
Yes, I'm a big fan of apprenticeships and boot camps, and shameless plug, Intuit does have an apprenticeship program if you want to check out our career pathways program on our career site. But that is a way, if you are career switching, to get real work experience, train, and also get paid, and then possibly land a full-time role. So I know a lot of companies have those boot camps, partner with corporations to have these career switchers get in front of companies. So I think those are two ways, as well as like leveraging online learning and getting those skills onto your resume of those jobs you're seeking.
Yeah, I think that is really, really big. And I think there's a lot of companies and organizations that are out there doing it. I'm not going to name them all, because I know I'm supposed to not say all them all, but there's a lot of companies out there who are offering those kind of programs and who are encouraging people to get back into the workforce. So if you're somebody out there who's been, a stay-at-home parent, or somebody who might have been impacted by maybe an accident or some kind of financial situation, or maybe even a relocation from another country to a different place within their own country, it might be looking at different resources to help you get back in those spaces. And there are, again, opportunities for apprentices. There's some companies who will even do like, they might call them internship or intern transition roles. So I get it's just going out there and just making a deeper search. And then again, going back and making those connections. So I'll hit you up with this one, Sandra. What advice do you have for people transitioning into tech during a recession? Dang, these people got some serious.
Was that one for me?
Yes.
Sorry, can you read that again?
Oh, yes. So what advice do you have for people transitioning into tech during a recession?
Yeah, I would say what we've kind of been alluding to for quite some time in this call too is just networking and leveraging, making sure to kind of build those relationships online to kind of see when those opportunities do come, who exactly could you connect with. I find that personally, I find a lot of individuals that I end up hiring have already spoken to a lot of the hiring teams. They've kind of done their research and spoken about what to those managers about what's going on, like what's happening. What are some things you think I should work on if in the future you see myself on your team? I think networking that way really helps out to kind of get you kickstarted for when that opportunity does come. I know it could be a little bit disheartening now to see all the news about layoffs and everything that's going on, but it doesn't mean that the market won't correct itself soon. which fingers crossed, but of course, like using this time to kind of do those sort of tips and tricks, I think really helps.
All right, cool. Cool. I'll go to this one, Patricia. How to state your case, a strong case or preparation from beginning for next promotion. Now, keep in mind, I'm reading this question as they wrote it. So let me, yeah, all right. How to state your
read the
case.
question.
So how to state your case strong or prepare from beginning for the next promotion. So let me just see if I can rephrase or kind of paraphrase this for this person. Whoever wrote this, hey. So I guess basically, what kind of suggestions would you give to somebody if they're looking for that next level or they're looking to achieve that next level of promotion? I think that's kind of what they're kind of alluding here to.
Right. Well, that's a great question. So first of all, you want to, again, I think I alluded to this earlier, but you want to meet with your manager and get a sense of what you're doing good today, like what you could be doing better, what you're doing great, and areas of opportunity, and then begin to work on those areas. And, use data, document, use data, document, make sure you have things to show that, okay, this is what I'm doing. These are the areas of opportunity. This is how I'm closing that gap. And that way you can show that when it comes to, promotion and, decision time. So you always want to document what you're doing in the areas of opportunity that you could be working on to do better.
No,
what I also like too is I think Intuit also offers this as well, but there's some companies, at least the last companies that I've been at as well too, is when you can ask feedback from other individuals that you work alongside with, like not even your manager, but you can send out feedback and get that back. So if you're part of like these employee resource groups, like why not send like, hey, can you give me feedback I can give back to my manager? I think it's really great to get like different point of views on that too.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys some game right here. All right. I'm going to drop a jewel right here. When you're at that point of your career, everybody take out the damn pen right now, right there. When you're in a space where you feel that you've met your goals and you're meeting your goals and you're getting all these accolades and you're getting these recommendations, from people who say they love working with you, they, thank you so much, or they, promote your work amongst their peers, but they always just tell you directly. And they say, hey, thank you so much. Feel free to tell them like, hey, thank you so much for your feedback, but this will go a long ways if you share this with my manager.
That's so true. Yeah.
That's so true.
So that way they can actually hear this. And you're not saying like you have to broadcast this, across the organization, but maybe let them know in the future. Thank you so much. It would go a long ways if you just share, your feedback with my manager. I also, what I normally like to do with random people throughout the year, I have made up my own monkey survey. And just ask like for feedback and have people respond back. And then I share that with my managers, sharing them with these are the people that I'm emailing this to, and I'm going to have them, respond back and send it to them. Now, of course, don't send it to all your friends, or your cousins, your sisters, but copy your manager on it, to the people that you're sending it to, so that way they can see that the response that you get back. That goes a long way too. And then I just say like, make yourself available, like, again, going back to the brand, making yourself available, going out there and taking some extra steps beyond just doing your regular work, and then getting actually promoters. And I think that's the biggest problem that a lot of people I find. Hopefully everybody taking these damn notes, all right, because I'm dropping a lot here, because here I go, and I'm not gonna be too long off my soapbox here, because I'm supposed to be asking the questions, but I will say this. And I said this before in the past, that a lot of people, the two things they always lack are, there's two things that you always can end up lacking with. And it's either finding a mentor. A mentor goes a long way, right? I know we didn't really have too many questions about this, but you have to find somebody in your space, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at your own company, but you have to find somebody who could be a mentor. And I think for the most part, a lot of people find mentors, and the mentor, you might even not know who they are, but they might even be giving you game like I'm giving you now, and they're probably really, really good people, and you always go to them. And if you realize you're going to these people, these are actually your mentors. You don't have to basically sign a waiver to have them like, can you please be my mentor? But if you find that you're somebody that you're going to all the time, let them know, like, hey, do you mind if I just reach out to you for your advice for different things? You've been a really great mentor in your space. And then I intend they're going to be like, yes. Why? Because they're going to feel like a god. But no, go ahead and ask them, can you be a mentor? But what I find the most, and I think this happens a lot with people early in their career, people who are just coming out of school, people who are interns, co-ops, people who are, are maybe 2 or 3 years in their career, they don't know that they also need a promoter, right? Somebody who can promote your work, somebody who can speak
Right.
about your work. Because the problem is, and I'm going to shut up really quick, but I think the problem is that, people who are looking to get to the next level of their career, they get to a space where they think they've done everything, which, is great. But when they leave the room, who's talking about you? When you leave the room, who's talking about your idea? When you leave the room, who's talking about the work you did? And so if you don't have somebody who's in the room, who's an advocate, who's a promoter of your work, your skills, your abilities, your solutions, your ideas, all of those different things, everything that you're saying or doing is only going to be for the moment, and it's not going to resonate. So when your manager, when your director is going to another room, if there's nobody talking about you, then you need to realize, who are those people I need to get in front of? Because if not, you're just another regular person. You're another regular staff member. Not saying you're not doing great things, but you have nobody who's actually your promoter to get that actual promotion. So find not just a mentor, find somebody who can be your promoter of your work.
Or even go to your manager and say, where are the resources for me to have a mentor, let's say internally, like over here at Intuit, we have a next generation network. And we do a lot of global mentorships. We're doing a career sprint right now. There's got to be resources that you can ask about. And your manager could kind of champion you to at least find that person as well too.
Yeah, and if you're not doing that, it actually ends up hurting you. And let me tell you why. And because when you leave, whether you leave on your own will or a company leaves you on your own will, they will forget about you, right? But as long as they remember you and you have people around there who are talking about your work, when you leave, if they're not calling you to come back, or if they're not trying to swindle you to come back to another role or bring you the first person back off of a layoff, it's probably because you had nobody in the space who can actually talk about you. Because they're not going to say like, hey, I need another engineer. They're going to say, hey, I need another, Samant, or I'm looking at some of the names here, or I need another Archit, or I need another Sandra, right? You become synonymous with the role in that space. So start getting promoters of your work, start networking, start finding people who are just not your friends, but people who can actually be in that room when you're not, talking about how great of the work that you did, and that we need another you, have you come back, or find somebody who's exactly like you. All right. So, I'm sorry.
Everyone, Charles wants everyone to wear "I will miss Charles"
Yeah,
shirts.
so, hopefully
Yeah.
y'all was taking some notes, but I just wanted to help some people out there. And if not, I know this recording will go out a long way. My Venmo is CM. So anyways, I know that we're kind of wrapping up here, and we've answered a lot of the questions. We've gone through some more questions. And before I kind of give my last sign off, I just want to ask and before we're gonna start putting that, we're gonna put up some of the tips here. I know they were taking notes. When they said they were taking notes, they were probably taking notes. You guys can't see her, but the person who's all in the background making things happen for us are Randall and Aaron. We love you guys so much for making this happen for us. We love everybody who actually hopped on this call. Feel free to go ahead and connect with all of us here online and LinkedIn and different spaces. I know there's a lot of people who are going to be reaching out, and they'll see this video, and we might not be able to reach out to everybody, but we'll definitely make sure that we have posts, and we'll make sure that we go ahead and have this sent out. But I wanted to ask, if any of you guys just have any last parting words or suggestions before I share a little bit about, just my reflection on our discussion today. Sandra, you got any last words? Any tips?
Yeah, I see a lot of questions in the Q&A just in general about if we're hiring and what that looks like. Definitely follow up on our career page and kind of see where those opportunities lie.
Yes, please check us out. And then again, make sure that you're connecting also with individuals that are in this chat and who are putting up their LinkedIn profile. Any parting words that you might have for right now, Patricia?
Yes, going back to what I said earlier, be intentional of what exactly you're looking for. So being intentional goes a long way in just mapping out your goals and begin to think about what it takes to meet those goals.
All right, Gabby, anything?
Just thank you for joining us. I know this is a frustrating market and time right now, but I think like these what now tips are here, and just really keep being consistent and persistent. And I know times will get better, and please do connect with us.
Yeah, and I know we're going to wrap up, and I know, Patricia, you have to hop off, but I'm going to say, and I told this to most people, when you're driving a car, you know, for those who actually drive, when you're driving, you're looking forward, you're not looking back. And be quite honest, the more you look back, you're not seeing actually where you're attempting to try to go. And so if you really think about it, the reason why you don't, because you have to focus on the front, where you're actually going. I know a lot of people have been impacted, you know, on everything that has been going on over the past few months. You know, with different careers, you know, being eliminated or roles just being slowly cut. But, you know, if you just focus on your destination and not being so worried about where you're really, you know, have been impacted for the past 2 days, 2 months, it definitely will help you focus on some of the things that we shared with you today. Even if you're driving and you look in the little small mirror, what does the mirror say?
You're just reflecting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and it even what does the mirror say? It says the objects, you know, objects behind you might look larger than they appear, right?
Yeah.
So focus on, you know, on looking forward, and just remember, you have to take the word no if you go to an interview, if you don't get the promotion, if you don't get the job, if somebody doesn't want to be your mentor, if you don't have no one to promote you. Remember, when you hear these no's all the time, it can get very frustrating, but you have to take it as an acronym, not an actual word. Just take it as next opportunity. All right. So when you hear
Oh, that's
no,
a good one. Yeah.
it's just the next opportunity. I'm dropping jewels today, baby.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
I've never that was excellent.
so take it as an acronym. It just means next opportunity. All right. So hopefully everybody learned a lot. If you have your cameras out, take a picture. There's a lot of opportunities that we have posted up right now through Intuit. None of us are all the recruiters for them, but I want to thank you, Patricia. I want to thank you, Sandra. I want to thank you, Gabby. And for the two ghosts making this all happen in the back, I want to thank you, Aaron and Randall. And for all the hundreds of people who joined in and registered, I want to say thank you. We wish you the best. And we know that, you know, an opportunity is coming. And if it's with Intuit, great. And if it's not, you know, we wish you all the success in your endeavors. So with that, I want to thank you. And we'll go out to playing some of that non-Grammy awarded music. All right.
Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.